you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. Let me there's one thing I haven't done is plug this in. That's probably why.
We're rocking the orange today, baby.
How's that? Can you hear me now, Beam?
I can hear you. I could hear you before.
Turn up my gamer headset here. There we go. We're good now. Man, where are you sitting at?
I'm in my room. This is the kitchen countertop, island thing, and then the little family room, living room's right behind me.
Looks nice, man. I love it. It looks like you got the weather going on in the background there.
It's just CNBC. I traded in a 1939 house for a 2020 house.
What was your first house that you had? What year was that one?
First house was built in 1907. I bought that in 1995. I paid $149,000 for it, and I thought I was getting ripped off. Now you can't even buy a double wide for $149,000.
Or what's that house now? What's that house worth now if you pinged it?
$750.
It's amazing, isn't it? And you probably thought that was a stretch when you bought it back there for $120.
I thought it was insane. I was like, you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody, welcome to This Week in Lumber with Matt Beymer and Ashley Boeckholt. Greg is, I think he's doing an Iron Man on the island today. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he was unable to make it today. But we will definitely miss him. One thing, so I'm MX Lumber Materials Exchange. We're the only digital exchange buying and selling lumber. Matt's with Hampton Lumber Sales. Matt's a great go-to for everything for your needs in Texas, all over North America, and any forward pricing needs too. So Matt's a good resource to lean on. Real quick, if you're not on the platform, we just had a user put up 4 prop trucks of 7/16 northeast in the Northeast OSB. He is taking bids on them right now on the platform as we speak, and they are going to move. He saved us 4 trucks just for today's show. So we're going to have 4 trucks. Hey, Dan, how are you doing from Houston, man? I heard you had a little cold weather down there this week. So he's going to have 4 trucks of 7/16. It's listed under OSB prompt, and they're going to move right now. So we say go over to the platform and look at that and watch the action on that one while Matt and I are talking. If you are not on the platform, you can put your bid up in the comments section, either on YouTube or LinkedIn, and we'll get you signed up if you get close to what his offer is. Matt, so you and I have had a lot of interesting conversations over the last month on weekends, saying I don't know how much I can give away where you and I will call and say, like, man, are you seeing something different than everybody else is seeing out there? And I'll let you kind of take the conversation because you kind of drove the conversation on the lumber side with that one with me.
I mean, the whole time futures was selling off, I was busy, and those two things didn't really add up, right? And then the other thing that I was asking you about, your platform is kind of a powerful tool, and it's no different than like sitting in a mill sales office. Like, for example, let's say you worked at West Fraser and worked in their Quinnell sales office. Well, there's going to be days where the phones are ringing off the hook, and then there's going to be other days where the phones are quiet, right? That's just the nature of our business. But you see that in real time on your platform, right?
Yeah.
You can see who's listing, how many they're listing, what kind of pricing, is it going up or going down? It's kind of an interesting top-down view that you have if you're materials exchange. So that's powerful information. But one thing that we both noticed the last couple of weeks was that for a market that was selling off $400 on futures, it sure wasn't acting like it on the cash side, right? So those two things didn't really add up, and hence here we are today with, like, my neck is sore from all the whiplash that I've been experiencing here the last 5 days. It's gone from nobody wants to buy anything to everybody wants to buy everything.
Well, yeah, let's talk about it. So you and I noticed the same thing. I really was like thinking I saw futures sell off, and I was always under the camp. And hell, we even talked about it 3 or 4 weeks ago with Greg. Futures leads cash, right? But it didn't feel like it this time. It's like, yeah, they should. And we kept saying, yeah, they should, and they will, and they're going to. And all of a sudden, I saw a little bit, hello from White Rock, BC. Hey, White Rock, BC. What I saw was all kinds of things that were showing exactly what you said, the opposite. I'm like, darn, Matt. I thought we were selling off, but I'm selling some things for more money than they were trading for yesterday. OSB was one. Studs were one. The only thing I saw a little bit of crack in prices were some Southern Yellow Pine, but that basis got so stretched out farther than it's ever been. It made sense. And some 6-inch, and that kind of is gone again. But it didn't happen this time, and it kind of had like you said, a futures. How can I put it? Like, if you're a basis trader now, you got to have a lot of money. I mean,
you have to have a lot of patience
and money,
Yeah.
right? Think about it.
Right.
We how much did we sell off from peak to trough about on just futures? I mean,
over 400. It was like 1320 was the high and the low was 901.
And the cash in within the last 6 or 7 days, we've basically made that back up.
I mean, I think what happened was last week up until about Thursday morning, mills that were concerned about the market coming off, they were quietly taking $100 counter offers on a few items that they wanted to sell. Maybe they had 4 cars of 2x6 random out there in the back that they hadn't sold yet, and they were kind of concerned about. So, and might have had a few cars of studs. I mean, there was some deals being made last, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday last week, but by Thursday and Friday, those deals were all gone.
Yeah.
And here we are. It's Wednesday, a week later, and there's just no doubt whatsoever that we're back into a tight market with upward pressure on it, and it always comes down to this one for sure is driven by logistics, right? It has nothing to do with me trying to squeeze people or the mills trying to squeeze people or the customers doing a bad job of planning. No, none of that is true. What's 100% true is that the lumber isn't moving from the sawmills to the end users fast enough. And it's at the worst possible time of year for that to happen. This is the time of year where people want to increase their inventory just seasonally. It's not like I'm making this up. You can go back and look at the last 30 years of data, how lumber moves. And what the biggest problem is for you and me and Greg and anyone else that's listening to this is the same for them too. It's getting a truck of material moved from one place to another, or getting your choo-choo trains to come in a fast enough period of time. I mean, people budget 4 weeks for transit times. That's now 6 weeks. Truckers
Matt, you're gonna love
skipping out on loads.
Yeah, so this morning, Nick and I, we have the same conversations. Hey, have those 7 loads picked up?
Yeah.
And we're moving stuff pretty much some lanes because we had weather. Then we add weather to it that we had across up. First you got to make an appointment, and then all these truckers generally drop stuff right now. I'm riding the elevator up from lunch yesterday, and there's 2 guys complaining about flatbed trucking, and I looked at them. I'm like, you guys move a lot of freight around, don't you? They were complaining about losing money on it, right? And they're 2 stories below us. They're a logistics company, so it was kind of funny. We had that conversation, but yeah, I mean, honestly, when we list prompt stuff on the platform now, it's prompt, but it takes us, like, you always have a good point. Like, prompt is like, I'll get to you in 2 weeks if I can, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a logistical
prompt used to be prompt.
Right?
Now it's like prompt is a week at the fastest, right? That's if you can budget your
Brett's asking me if the 3/4 we have is Chronospan. No, it's eager stock, Brett. I can send you over the specs on it if you want. We've moved almost 50 trucks of it. We've got 10 left for the end of April shipment. You should come on and take a look at it. I think it'll probably be gone today. And we've got 4 trucks of 7/16 that we've got some bids on now after I went live on the platform here. So 4 trucks, those prompt in the Northeast. But Matt, man, we're moving product all over right now, especially OSB. I told you, I thought it would be a 1-week deal, but it's kind of finding it in places everywhere, right?
Well, I mean, as tight as lumber is, panels are even tighter.
Yes.
It's a real problem. And so, I mean, if you're a guy or you're a company that's been buying a bunch of OSB over the years, you're going to probably have to start subbing plywood, honestly. I mean, there's going to be a lot of folks that they're going to have to switch to yellow pine or fir plywood just to get, the sheathing and the flooring that they need to finish projects here in the second or third quarter.
And Bill G, it is domestic on the 7/16. We've probably moved 20 of that already, but yeah, it's domestic on the 7/16. Yeah, great point on that, Matt, on the plywood. Actually, I tried to push somebody who was looking for 15, 30 seconds yesterday, OSB to Florida. And we have plenty of 15, 30 seconds plywood listed up there, right? But it comes down to changing specs for an engineer. Sometimes nobody wants to go through that hassle of doing it, right?
I mean, if you can't find OSB and it can't get to your yard and you've got orders that you owe people, yeah, you're going to have to be creative. I mean, we've seen species swapping in lumber for the last 2 years to just solve people's problems. The same thing's going to happen in panels now. I mean, you got mills declaring force majeure and canceling contracts that people rely on. What are you going to do? You got to do something. I mean, the only other option is like what they do in the Northwest is they'll take some 2x6 Doug fir and they'll put a tongue and groove on and use that as your subfloor. But you can't do that for your wall sheathing, right? So It's going to be panels are going to just solve their own problem by switching over to fir plywood or yellow pine plywood. That's who's going to benefit the most. They might even have to start bringing in stuff from South America to just to get enough panels in this country, because that's a bigger problem than lumber. At least there's enough lumber being made to satisfy demand. It's just in the wrong place. It can't move that fast. I don't think there's enough panels in North America to satisfy 1.8 million housing starts. I just don't.
Right. No, I agree with that. And then look at we're seeing more of the Euro backing and filling. We're going to start bringing in 4x9 and 4x10 Euro now, right? Because there's a lot more need for. And look at honestly, when you got the prices like this, you're going to have more stuff back and fill and come in. We're already seeing that in the Brazilian. Casey asked, so what inning are we in now regarding the lumber industry? I have a new answer for that, Matt. We're in extra innings. We're in extra innings right now. We're in extra innings right now with two really powerful teams, and nobody. What's your answer on it, Matt?
Well, in the short term, I think we're like in the first or second inning of this little renewed bounce of enthusiasm here on lumber. But in the big picture, the price of a framing package for the end user is almost back up to where it was all-time high last year in June. So we have to be really aware of where we are in the overall scheme of things. The cost of building materials is at or near record highs right now. So I think for the industry, in the long run, we should be paying attention to interest rates and home builder stocks and the pressures on the consumer, the affordability index, things like that are they're going to be a limiting factor in the future, right? You can't just sell houses forever at these prices and these rates. It's unsustainable. We can't. So something's got to give. Eventually, demand will slow down. In the meantime, the market that we're in right now is just one that it's a logistics nightmare, and it's going to take a couple months for this to resolve itself. So
where are the mills at right now? Let's just pick out the some of the spruce mills. We kind of know where they're at. What's their order file? How high are they? Because I think they bumped numbers yesterday, right? Again.
We sold $100 a thousand higher yesterday on 2x4 2 and better than we did the day before. I sold just today, $60 higher from 7 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock a.m. West Coast time on 2x4 in the field. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of price increases that are going on as we speak. I think print on Friday is going to be up $40 to $60 a thousand across the board. I think they've got some catching up to do, but right now cash is actually leading futures. It's not the other way around. I mean, they're kind of working at the same speed together, but cash is actually higher than futures at the moment. It's heading towards 1,300 rapidly on 2x4, if not already there.
Let's look at the different parts of the pipeline. So distributors, I know some that just ran out of wood a month ago, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand that, right? But then some smart guys were buying wood too, right? They were like, I'm going to stay with this, right? But I mean, you can only buy so much. Reloads still have inventory. A lot of it is still trying, like you said, to find its way from point A to point B. We're still trying. I think last week you were talking about cars still trying to move that were sold a month ago from point A to point B, right? Some of that is probably starting to remedy itself. Does that make sense?
It's gotten worse. The car situation is worse now, not better. So if you talk to all the Canadian Western, so from Alberta over to British Columbia, those two provinces, the CN and the CP are doing a worse job last week than they did the week before. And they're doing another worse job this week than they did last week. So the service on rail cars, on empty rail cars coming back to the West is getting worse, not better. At the same time, the trucking issue in Canada has gotten worse because they're going through a trucker protest right now all across their nation. And there's just a lot of trucks that are diverted doing something else. They're taking a political stand. So they're not interested in hauling freight right now. I saw on top Alberta. Of an already tight truck market within British Columbia and Alberta, right? I mean, if you talk to the mills up there, they're telling you that they're paying $2,000 to haul a semi from Alberta down to Texas. That used to be $1,200. Now it's $2,000, and it takes 4 weeks.
You gotta respect and love those Canadian truckers, man.
But then it's going to hurt America. The Americans are talking about doing a truck convoy also to Washington D.C. So what if that comes to pass? What if we have 2 weeks of disruption in America because a whole bunch of truckers decide to put their rah flags out and just head off to Washington D.C. and they don't care? They'll be like, yeah, well, buck a mile from L.A. to Washington D.C. if you got that lane, but otherwise we're not hauling freight,
Yeah, for sure. Customers, end use customers, what's their feeling? Because one of the things that you and I were talking about last month is I thought they were able to build some inventory, but they were burning through it still pretty good, and we're still accumulating as up to a week or two ago. What's your feeling on that? Are they still buying? And obviously they are because the price is moving up.
Well, you see the answer to that question on your platform. If somebody buys a truck, they're agreeing to wait 3 weeks to get it, right?
Okay, so great point. We had some vessels that, vessels they come in slower. But we've had some stuff that, but we're not, and I kept people in contact about it. Like, hey, these are going to be a week or 2 weeks late. And,
nobody canceled.
The difference between this market, everybody's like, okay.
Right. Nobody canceled. They didn't care that it was going to be 2 weeks late because they need that lumber, period. We're all trying to build inventory. We just can't get the wood fast enough. And so it keeps going out the back door. The sales guys for all these companies keep selling it. The home builders keep buying it. The only segment of the market that's sort of put the brakes on that I can tell is the job shipper segment, the apartment builders, the hotel guys, the guys that do that business. They're putting the brakes on because these prices are outside their budget.
We saw that last year, end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter, same thing happened, right?
Yeah, and they're doing it again. But now they're flipping back to saying, well, we're going to have to still buy some more trucks. And so they're not buying the carload. Like we're not getting big carload business from any of that segment of the market. But we are getting the quick fill-in trucks at ridiculously high prices that are $200 above print. And it's just they need new trucks.
No doubt. It's like I'm pushing the 716 OSB, these 4 trucks, and we've gotten some bids on here, and those trucks will be gone today. And they'll go at a number where I'll be like, wow, I didn't see that coming, right? and because like on a digital platform like this, you always find – like I'll look and I'll be like, that's crazy that person just bought that and it came all the way from there. Or they paid that. You know what? They needed it, and the way that people they currently talk to couldn't find it. So some person matched with somebody they don't know from a long ways away, right?
Somebody is sending a note here about trucking.
So yeah,
that's actually useful information. I like that. Thank you. I'm glad to know that it's not as big of a deal as I thought it might be.
That actually is like, is that the one Judy sent?
It says LinkedIn user. I don't know who sent it, but thank you.
Judy sent one talking about the size, and then there's 418 trucks in Ottawa. There's 500,000 registered in Canada. Less than 1/10 of the 1% are protesting.
Okay, cool. Well, that's actually good. That takes away one of the excuses for logistics. Now I'm going to use that the next time my truck dispatcher tells me it's hard to book a truck. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's only less than 1/10 of 1% that are striking. God dang it. Go get me that truck booked.
No doubt. Anybody has any questions, throw them up there. So going into Thursday and Friday, Matt, what's your feeling? I mean, we the weekend, and by the way, materials exchange is on the weekend. We've had matches both weekends now. Matt, if you're apping on a golf course, you can buy and sell lumber on Saturday and Sunday, buddy. What's your feeling going
technology
the next few weeks here?
Well, I just think like we're in the second inning of a new rally, right?
It's
the new rally.
What's your feeling going into next week? Are we going to? Are we getting?
I think we're just starting another cycle here of upward pressure and lack of inventory. And until that inventory need is satisfied, we're going to be scrambling to find more lumber. And eventually it'll slow down like it always does. We'll have another correction somewhere down the road, but it's not going to happen in next week. Not at all.
Yep. No doubt. Well, we'll make this a 25-minute show, and we'll get back to the grind here. But Matt, I appreciate it. And anybody that wants to get a hold of Matt, they can contact him either on his LinkedIn profile, or what's another way to get a hold of you, Matt? The best way.
Matt Beymer at hamptonlumber.com. Email.
There you go. To get on MX, come to mxlumber.com. If you are not registered, hit the registration button, sign up. We'll get you on board trading and buying and selling spot lumber through us tomorrow. All right, Matt, I appreciate the time. Thanks for getting on with us.
Yeah,
and we will chat.
All right, take care, man.